G'day, it's Alistair Hart from Map Gear with you once again. Today from the Adelaide Convention Centre, where we're participating in the South Australian Spatial Information Day. Today I've got Noor Raziq with me from Hexagon Smartnet, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about NTrip. How have you found today's event so far, Noor?
Pretty good. A lot of people, a lot of familiar faces and a lot of unfamiliar faces. So, good event so far.
Great. And how would you describe Smartnet?
Smartnet is a correction service which gives you centimeter level accuracy. So the best of the best GPS receiver. It won't get you anything more than a meter. If you want real centimeter business, then you need to get a correction service, and Hexagon Smartnet is the world's largest provider of RTK correction service.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with RTK correction services, EMLD receivers are an example of the GNSS receivers that can connect to the internet and receive a correction via the internet. And that allows us to avoid needing to set up a base station to develop our RTK positioning. So Noor, you mentioned that there's some interesting changes in the pipeline with Smartnet. Are you able to talk about those with us today?
Yep, so basically the first thing that is coming up is called Smartnet Plus. Smartnet Plus is an RTK bridging service. So if you are out and about and you suddenly lose the Telstra signal, what do? You need to wait for it to come back or to complete your job, or what we call a Smartnet Plus signal, which gives you 10 minutes of RTK bridging on your Smartnet subscription. The corrections are delivered via satellite, L-band, so it will not work in all hardware, but we are getting across to as many as we can.
Great. So for those of you that haven't yet noticed, today I'm holding EMLD's Reach RS2 Plus, which is the latest generation EMLD GNSS RTK receiver. The RS2 Plus contains a dual antenna LTE modem for enhanced reception and capacity to work on 4G networks. Coming back to the topic of correction services and Smartnet, what are some of the traps for people that aren't really familiar with using correction services? What are some of those things that people need to look out for?
Yeah, the first thing I would point out is if you are moving between states in Australia is a big country. How we manage the correction service, we have a separate port number for each state, which follows the postcode. For example, if you are in Sydney, 12101 is the port number that you need to connect to. Brisbane, Queensland, 14101, and so forth. So the main thing to look for is if you are crossing the state boundaries, make sure you change the port numbers. That's about it. The mount points are very consistent between states, so the only change that you need to make is the port number.
Great, and I know as one of the resellers of Smartnet, occasionally we have users that have trouble connecting to their Smartnet correction service, and often that cause is just the correct input of their username and password. So please pay particular attention to that if you're using a correction service. Now, Noor, there are a couple of different mount points available, nearest base and VRS. Are you able to explain those for our viewers today?
Okay, so there are two ways that you can work out your rover to get an RTK correction service. Historically, what you would do, you would have a base station transmitting your data to you via radio, and you would get a fix off that base station. So as you move away from the base station, your error goes linearly up. Against that, or alternative to that, is the network RTK, which is much more consistent when you move away from the base stations and move around when you have a network of base stations. VRS is essentially a way of transmitting that network correction, which is better than a single base correction. A nearest base correction will give you your nearest base station, which is a single base station. A VRS mount point would give you a virtual reference station, which is a network of 4 or 5 stations around you, and is always performs better than a single base or a nearest base solution.
Thank you. And yesterday we were on an almond farm on the northern Adelaide Plains, and we had our EMLD Reach RS2 Plus connected to Smartnet's VRS service here in South Australia. And when I looked in the EMLD Reach View software, I could see that my baseline was only about 6.2 metres. So that's really fabulous in terms of precision for our observations. So, Noor, thank you very much for taking the time to discuss correction services with us today.
No problems, Alistair.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and you have a successful event here. And for the viewers at home, if you'd like to know more about Smartnet and correction services, please feel free to reach out to us, hello@mapgear.com.au. If you'd like this video, please hit the like button, feel free to subscribe to our channel, and if you'd like to know more, please feel free to leave a comment on the below the video. So thank you very much and see you next time.